Hello, I am the poet. Today I give you a story from the horror of stories. The World's Most Famous Haunted Puppets by Mona Harris. What are the hardest stories to tell about haunted dolls? They provoke terror and stress in the psyche. Because puppets dictate our homes and our lives, and our children always play with them, dictate our homes and play with our children. But when we discover that these puppets are haunted, inhabited by the devil despite their extreme innocence, today I give you a real story of the world's most famous haunted puppets. I'll talk about the first doll. It is the doll Juliet, and that doll is so cursed. It was cursed by an entire family and caused the death of all the male births, and it was leaving the females and not killing them. However, the family refused to give up the doll Juliet, and the family thought that the doll locks up the spirits of the male children, and her doll owner Madame Anna says that she hears strange sounds, from crying and laughing loud from the doll in the evening. The second doll is Okiko, and there is that terrifying doll in Japan, located in a temple called Iwamizawa, located in Japan, and legend says that the doll was for a little girl called Okiko. The girl loved the doll very much and attached to her. The baby died. After a fever roll she held the puppet with her, and after her death the puppet was crying and laughing at times with her hair growing up in a strange way and resembling human hair so much, they thought it was their daughter's soul. They put the puppet in the museum and it's in the museum today. The third doll is a voodoo, bought by a Texas lady from one of the famous sites for selling stuff. The doll had an important warning, and it did not remove the doll's silver cover. But the doll's owner did not listen to that talk or warn, and she took the lid off, and then she took the nightmares attacking her a lot. She decided to sell the hideous doll, and sold the doll more than once, but the doll was coming back to her and finding it on the door of the house. The fourth doll is her. The doll Robert N is the property of her owner Eugene, Utah, and that doll is so weird it curses everyone who portrays her without her permission, and causes him a lot of problems. The doll story is weird. The boy has got. It is small, but neighbors complained of her that she was moving down the windows at night. As a lot of losses caused to the people of the house, the doll Robert is present today at the Fort West Museum in Florida, and if you want to take a photo of her, you have to use her first. There are also a lot of letters of apology next to the doll. To those who mistook her for her and took the pictures, they would like her to take the curse off her. The fifth puppet is Harold, the most famous puppet. Who owns the puppet is very ill, and that's when the puppet smiles ironically like an ant mocking them and sells at a big auction at a high price on one of the sites selling puppets and strange things. The puppet was made in 1920 in Italy, and his baby saw her hair for the puppet makers, and then the puppet started talking to her. They complained that it was a dummy worn by its owner in the can until he died, and after he died things started moving on their own, and everyone knew that the water was haunted. The dummy Mandy is the sixth doll, the most dangerous dressed in history. Made between 1910 and 1920, the doll is now located at the Casnell Museum in Colombia. Her owner put her in the museum, and she heard crying sounds during the day and strange laughs. She found things moving on her own, and after the puppet's dimensions she no longer heard anything. After putting the puppet in the museum, strange things happened. Staff food started disappearing from its place, and things disappeared in a terrifying way, and hearing the sounds and steps of legs. The puppet has multiple faces and is the seventh doll, whose owner found it hanging from her neck inside an abandoned cottage in a forest in Brazil, and his puppet is very scary and terrifying. She turns and changes her face from a little girl crying to an angry woman screaming, and she beats her owner until she almost kills him, and the puppet has many different faces. The doll has no clear milestones, but it shows different shapes and milestones on its face every time. She sees her as conscious as she is, and she looks like a puppet with more than one ghost. The eighth doll is the Gypsy Lita puppet. Is over 200 years old, made by one of the Roma men. The Lita puppet caused a lot of events after he got the puppet. His son died, drowned, and the doll was used for Lita as a spiritual intermediary to attend the child's soul. The man retained the doll. But after his death, whenever someone looked at her, he cried. On his own, he felt great sadness.